how high are you trying to go, right? I don't even really like the term "the sky's the limit" because the sky's not the limit. You can go higher than that.
Hmm.
So your feelings have ceilings. If you're operating in how you feel, I mean, think about it. You really won't get anything done because I don't feel like getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day. I don't feel like working out 4 times a week. I'm done playing. I don't want to work out.
Yeah.
I don't feel like changing my eating habits so I can be around for my kids. But if I operate in my feelings, I would probably get 10% of the things that I say I want to do done.
This is the Gold Medal Mindset, where we bring you all things winning in business, sport, and life. I'm Dr. Jason Richardson, pro BMX world champion and Pan Am Games gold medalist. Now I'm a professional speaker, author, and winning mindset coach. Thanks for joining in. Get ready to mine for gold as we challenge your perception to change your results. All right, 3, 2, 1. Hello. I am here, and as you know what I'm going to say, super excited to have this guest, Mr. Otis Amey, Bay Area, seated and breeded 49er, keynote speaker, motivational speaker, had me crying at an event we did together. Yeah, man. Thanks for being on the show. How you doing?
Doing good, man. It's a beautiful day. It's finally stopped raining, so I'm excited to go handle some business, take care of some things today.
Yeah. So, are you gonna get those tags on that new minivan you just bought, or what, man?
Already got the
Gonna
tag.
go soup up the engine?
Got the windows tinted, so it could be kind of gangster.
Yeah. You know what someone told me about that. I think it was my sister because she bought a minivan too and didn't think she was the minivan type, and she said, "You know what? I'm just dating it. I'm not married to it."
Really?
Yeah, that was her way of getting over it. But I think minivans are kind of gangster myself. I've been
Yeah,
putting my toe in the water a little bit. I didn't think I'd go that route, but you inspired me.
most definitely. I mean, I have 7 friends that either have a Sienna or an Odyssey, and same thing. Either them or the wife was like, "Hell no," and now they all swear by it. And so even my wife, she was like, "You better not get no damn minivan." And now she loves riding it. So,
So there you go. It's a part of the family now.
oh yeah,
That's cool.
yes
That's
sir.
cool. So I've been watching you. So ever since we did IPD, we did IPC, we did that IPD seminar in Sacramento. What was it? Last summer, maybe early summer.
Yep, yep.
And since then, I mean, and you brought the house down then. But since then, I've been watching you on Insta, on Facebook. You've been having a good run. You've been getting out there, spreading your word, getting in front of a lot of people, adults, kids, just alike. Tell us about that. What's the mission? What's the mission of Otis Amey?
Yeah. So I think, every single speaker you listen to, whether it's yourself or Dr. Lee or Eric Thomas, Les Brown, they have like their thing. Like with Eric Thomas, he's E.T. the hip hop preacher, right? He talks about going 120 or, whatever his thing is. And I think for me, I've always shared my story and intertwined it to whatever the theme of the event is. But I think for me, I finally realized like what my thing is, and it's connecting people to what their why is. And, even at IPD, I talked about something new and revolutionary, which is testing your why. And so for me, I've been able to accomplish anything I've ever said that I wanted to do. And I realize it's because I've been able to connect to what my why is. And the times where I want to quit, I won't quit because of that. And going to the NFL, it was my mom, and now it's, my wife and my kids and things we're trying to do. So I've been able to tap into that. And I think the reason why I've been able to get out more is that I finally started getting some footage and pictures and putting myself out there more and getting testimonials from these events. And so now this year, I haven't solicited myself. I haven't contacted or emailed or called anybody. People have been reaching out to me. And it's been awesome. I mean, I spoke 4 times in the last 3 days.
Nice. I think it's also too because it's bigger than you. I have a good friend. He's a speaker, and I should put you two in touch. His name's Tony Hoffman, and he does he's like one of the biggest he's becoming one of the biggest substance abuse speakers, and he's traveling around the country. And I actually know him from bike racing. But I believe that his success and your success is because, to me, just, outsider looking in, I think it's about it's bigger than just you or the motivation or the pat on the back. I mean, I really feel like there's more of a, for lack of a better word, mission to what you're doing. Like more of a, even, like a divine kind of piece around it, whether it's spiritual
Right.
or not that you're
Right.
necessarily preaching, but I just feel like it's a cause. That's probably the best word.
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, in terms of attaching to the why, that's the why now is to. I don't even really necessarily like the term motivational speaker because I feel motivation is like a shower. You're gonna need it again tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can find a way to attach people to that, you empower them now to win. 2 weeks after Dr. Richardson has come and given me this awesome thing on the championship life and that lifestyle, I still remember what he said. He also gave me some resources and tools where now I can fish for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, the why now is so much bigger than me because I grew up with absolutely nothing. And now, me and my wife's from East Oakland, we grew up with nothing. And now we have our own home, about to move into another home, right? And, things are paid off and we never grew up like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me now, it's like, okay, I want to introduce more people and get them more attached to their goals and their dreams and their why so that they can do the same because it's forever changed the trajectory of our lives. Not only that, but our kids. Our kids won't even know what it's like to struggle how we struggle. And even saying that, it gets me, feeling some kind of way, a bit emotional. And I want others to experience the same thing.
Yeah. And you know what the crazy part is? Wait till them kids are older and you'll be like, they're going to give you something. You'll be like, I can't believe you guys don't know how good you have it.
Right.
Which is amazing, right? Because that's the whole kind of goal of this, right? Especially if you have kids and you want them to have better than what you had, or at least be able to provide better,
Right.
Than what you had. So there's a specific mindset piece to that. How do you think? Because there's a lot of people I'm sure who you came up with who maybe were just as talented. And I talk about this too with Championship Life. There was plenty of people I came up with who were talented, better, stronger, faster, but somehow, I made it, whatever that meant, right? In my sport. What do you think? And let's forget football, right? Because I'm sure a lot of players who stop there. That's it. They get there, and that's the peak of their life. 24, and they're done. And then they're 60, wishing they were 24. But you keep pushing. So what do you think? And I know you're going to your why, but what do you think? Where did that come from in you? Right? Because you at some point you must have seen that early on in you or recognized it in you.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I'm the youngest of 4 boys, all boys. None of them are entrepreneurs. They're all, workers. My parents are both workers, so I don't even know.
Workers.
I don't even know if I figured it out yet. I think maybe part of it's from, my dad was a very verbally abusive man growing up. He was often inebriated, drunk. But one thing I noticed with him is he always showed up for the family. He was a grinder. I think that's where I get it from. Watching him, whether he was drunk or not, he took care of business. He went to work and he provided for us to where, we didn't have much, but I never knew how broke we were. I always had a meal. We always had a place to stay, even though we never owned anything. So I think I get that wiring of that DNA from him, and the love, compassion, wanting to inspire people in a loving way definitely comes from my mom. But why I'm wired, how I'm wired, I don't know, man. I mean,
you're blessed. You're
blessed.
blessed.
That's just how God made me, but yeah, I don't know.
It's a trip. I often think of that too because it's a big world full of a lot of people, and it makes you wonder. And I get people thinking about this too, and it is a place I go to, especially when I have more of like an in-depth training. But it does make you wonder, because of all the places you're here now, right? And so, what's the reason for that, and why? As rough as it might have been in Oakland, you had those 2 baseball teams in the Bay Area. You had the 2 football teams off and on in the Bay Area. You had those big universities. You had you were in America. You know what I mean? You had there's all these reasons that we can't explain. as to this, this kind of confluence of events. But and it's an eternal question for me. So I'm asking it to you, and we can kind of wax philosophically about it, but it's almost like, what is the difference between some people harnessing all of that and making and using that, for the like a Jedi for the force of good, or or not using it and kind of letting it slip away, because I do think everybody has blessings. Everybody has kind of something to offer. No?
Yeah, I think some of it has to do with the power of decision.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've heard my story. At the age of 7, I said I wanted to play in the NFL for the San Francisco 49ers. When I said I was watching TV, no one else was in the room. So I think having small wins or small successes, like my very first year ever playing football, ended up being like the team MVP. So it was like, whoa. It opened up my eyes. So, because I didn't think I was that good, and I got the MVP. And then the next year, MVP. So it's like, okay, maybe this thing is possible. And then going to a school where there's 4,000 kids and being the best player in the entire school and not even thinking that highly of myself and being the number one receiver in the entire Bay Area. Like, okay, maybe this thing is possible. But it all started with me making that decision and saying, I'm going to do it. And I think as motivational, as awesome as my dad was through his trials and tribulations, he doubted me. And I think it's not necessarily the most healthy way to pursue a goal and dream, but I always wanted to prove him wrong. I wanted to prove a lot of so-called friends wrong. And that was a big motivating force for me,
Yeah, that's actually not an uncommon thing. And I speak on that quite a bit. I think you touch on it, but, because the big thing is self-esteem and we want people to feel good about themselves, but really that's not necessary. And you're proving that, because you, to me, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like you believed in your dream more than you did even yourself, right? You didn't really know how you stacked up. You thought you were good, but you didn't know you were the best, or that it wasn't. Yeah. It was a non-issue of what you thought about yourself. You just knew that you could and that it was possible. I mean,
right?
Isn't that enough?
Yeah, that's it. At the end of the day. And then I think what I was talking about with those wins is once I saw it happen at a young age, I'm like, well, shoot, I stopped caring what people think. And I think that's one of the biggest hindrances to people outside of fear is like,
I love that.
Well, what is my mom going to think? What you're supposed to do may not be in alignment with what they think, but who cares? And once I started getting that who cares mentality, a healthy who cares mentality, it definitely propelled me to the next level. Because every other day I would put ankle weights on. This is as a youngster. And I would run 3 miles around the block. If I was watching Ninja Turtles or whatever, I would still be doing push-ups and sit-ups while I was watching TV. And so those things, just having that, like, man, I don't, pretty much F what you think, I'm going to make it happen, regardless, kind of shaped and molded me to who I am.
Right. So you said the power of decision, and I wrote down in my notes here, decide. So if you will, tell the people what that means, because I remember that very distinctly, but that's yours, and I want you to own it on this show.
Yeah, man, I don't even really remember exactly how it happened, where I started doing research, but I love reading and I love research. And so I was talking to my brother, who's a principal, and I was talking about how I made a decision and said I wanted to play in the NFL. So we started looking at that word. And so we looked at like other words that have side, and he was like, side, CIDE, means to kill off. And so we looked at words like pesticide and killing, bugs. We looked at homicide, killing someone else, suicide, killing yourself, genocide, killing mass amounts of people. So we're like, what the heck does decide mean then? And then it was just like so profound and simple. It's like decide means to kill off every other option. He was like, dude, that's exactly what you did. You didn't listen to me or mom or dad or your coaches who were doubting you, your friends who were doubting you. You killed off every other option once you decided to do it. That's how you got to where you're at.
So what do you think people decide to do now? I mean, when you go into your schools, let's take it to the schools and the kids and the younger ones. We don't have to go that young, but generally the people who are about to get to those deciding years, even though they're all deciding years, what do you see what do you see happening out there that obviously you are correcting when you go speak?
Yeah, I see that they're not tapping in. It's kind of like they have alter egos, and they're deciding to go the route of what they think their friends would like them to do, rather than sticking to their true self.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I see kids that I know, like I know them personally, I'm like, you're not that person, but you're trying to be cool and try to fit in, wear the Jordans and sag your pants like these other kids, and that's not you. So they're making that decision to do that. And so I get a chance to come in and share my story and bring other speakers in and just kind of plant and water some seeds to help them realize that this life is not a dress rehearsal. Like you gotta do you right now. And I think a lot of these youngsters don't understand that every decision they make right now, they have so much time. They think, oh, I'm gonna get older, and they don't realize one of the scariest days in life is when you graduate, especially from college. There's no more dorms and scholarships and Pell Grants. You literally have to find a way to make money legally for the rest of your life.
You don't have to, but it's definitely a good idea to do it legally, right? No, I hear you, and I think I'm seeing that too, where you come across a lot of people, and I'm not even going to say young people because I don't want to make this a generational thing, but they're losing the ability to, and I'm going to use air quotes here, deal. Mm-hmm. They can't deal anymore, right? It's too much, and I'm amazed at how, as a society or a people or whatever you want to call it, that we're so easily overwhelmed all of a sudden. Now, I know there's more coming at us with tech and social and blah, 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 blah. However, for a bunch of people who have it so good in the first world, we are easily overwhelmed nowadays. And so I think the importance of what you do, especially with that word decide and breaking it down like that, is help people deal with the overwhelm.
Yeah, it's definitely that. I mean, speaking to what you're talking about, yeah, I don't get it either. I mean, I know I didn't even have a phone. Social media is huge. I mean, you literally I can grab my phone right now within 10 seconds, see a half naked girl twerking on Instagram or, whatever. So it's so easy. And they say the average person checks their phone 150 times a day, right? So think about trying to accomplish a goal or a dream, which for me, I don't know about you. I set my schedule up in blocks to where, okay, from 9 to noon, I'm going to be making calls and sending out emails for whatever purpose that may be. But think about, you're trying to get that done. And then you're like, oh, let me check this. I got a notification. My phone's going off. That's, I think, one of the reasons why people aren't accomplishing what they're trying to do. But I think another reason why people are getting so overwhelmed, from what I see from the standpoint of youth, is there's not a lot of fathers in the homes these days. Dads are tapping out and running away and quitting on their kids for whatever reason. And now these young men especially don't have father figures, so they don't know how to deal with authority. They don't know how to, quote unquote, man up and not be so sensitive. And you're seeing a lot of young men who are just as emotional as some women are. That's the truth, but it's sad. It's sad to see.
Right. And that's what I meant by overwhelm, right? Because there's the brain part, which is the social and being inundated with, what do you want to call it? Just being inundated with tech and inputs constantly. Right, and then there's, but what I was talking about was the more emotional overwhelm, right? I can't handle, I can't deal. It's too much. And maybe this, checking that phone 150 times a day helps you escape, right? Helps you avoid.
Right.
But more on that deeper level, yeah. And whether you call it manning up or just growing up or coming up, there does seem to be this kind of lack of, I don't want to say willingness, but to deal with your feelings being hurt. Yeah. I mean, not to be a jerk about it, but I mean, that's, not everyone's gonna necessarily like you, nor do they have to, do they?
They don't have to. And one thing that it's a quote that I came up with, and I just said it at a talk Saturday. I said, "Your feelings have ceilings."
Nice.
That's how high are you trying to go, right? I don't even really like the term "the sky's the limit" because the sky's not the limit. You can go higher than that.
Mm-hmm.
So your feelings have ceilings. If you're operating in how you feel, I mean, think about it. You really won't get anything done because if I don't feel like getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day. I don't feel like working out 4 times a week. I'm done playing. I don't want to work out.
Yeah.
I don't feel like changing my eating habits so I can be around for my kids. But if I operate in my feelings, I would probably get 10% of the things that I say I want to do done. And so, I mean, that's one thing that I tell these kids all the time is your feelings have ceilings. We just played basketball open gym. There's usually like 20 youngsters from high school. And the starting quarterback was out there playing. And I guess we weren't passing him the ball enough. And so he just stopped playing defense. He would just hang out on the other side of the court. And everybody's looking at me crazy. I just started going in on him. He couldn't handle it, but he didn't know it was coming from a place of love.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, let me teach you a life lesson right now. If you can quit over some nonsense like this,
Yeah.
then you're not going to be ready to graduate from high school and deal with some real world stuff. You can't do this. Like, if you can't be coached up right now, you can't be a good, even an employee. So I went off on a little tangent, but I'm in the trenches every day with these, especially with the youth.
Yep.
And I see a lot of stuff.
So yeah, tell me more about your youth work.
Yeah, so I'm the regional director for a faith-based organization where pretty much what we do is we bring a lot of guys like yourself, current, former pros, or businessmen that have a sports background to just come in and instill hope,
Mm-hmm.
talk about their faith, talk about their story, even give tips, sporting tips, athletic tips. That's it. We provide free pizza for the kids to get them to come. A lot of times they'll come because we have, whoever the speaker is, we brought a Kings player in last week,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll pack out a whole classroom or a theater and just, build relationships with those kids and connect them back to their whys and help them decide what they're trying to do and even provide resources for them, even bring in some colleges that will help them,
Nice.
get some grant scholarships and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. So if someone is struggling, and say they really want to do good, right? They want to do good. They want to do better. They think they might have something in them that they can offer the world. What if they really don't know their why? What if they're not at the WHY part yet? What's your secret sauce in helping them at least find it or get to their why? Or do you think deep down everyone kind of has one, they just don't know it?
Yeah, I think that everyone has them. They just don't know it. For me, that's an easy question to answer because I didn't know mine in terms of post football. While I was
Mm-hmm.
playing in San Francisco, I just said, I don't know. I started thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do after football. And so my answer to your question is to just start serving, start doing a lot of different things in the community, start helping people because I learned my purpose through service. And I was in the hood in Hunters Point, right by the stadium. And I realized once I started doing things at the YMCA and Boys and Girls Clubs that I loved being with the youth, and I didn't have a fear of speaking
Mm-hmm.
in front of people. I said, I heard that it's the number one, number two, most scariest thing to do for people, and I don't have that fear. And that's when I first started speaking. This is back in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
I learned my purpose through serving.
Nice. Do you think that this just hit me. Has there ever been a moment where Otis Amey was more of a non-serving, somewhat selfish type narcissistic athlete?
Oh, definitely. Pretty much my last couple years in college and the first half of my season in the NFL. I mean, I was the dude, in college, and everybody let me know I was the dude. My jersey was in the bookstore.
Yeah.
And then, you end up going to the team you dreamed of. All of a sudden, you're making all this money every single week, and can't nobody tell you nothing. And it really, I got humbled, when I got hurt halfway through the season, and it made me reevaluate some things and put some things in perspective. Like, man, this can be taken away from you right now. And, luckily, I was able to regain my health and finish the season strong. But it was during that process when I started going to the Boys and Girls Clubs and YMCA and serving. But there was that point, believe it or not. If you know me now, you'd be like, yeah, right. But I I did have that typical athlete portion of my life.
Yeah, that's and I see that too. Obviously with athletes, but I'm starting to see that just in Gen Pop, which is
That's
like,
crazy.
which is
That's crazy.
and I'm not saying you have more of a license to be narcissistic if you're a professional athlete. I'm not saying that. What I am saying though is I can understand where that may be coming from if you are filling up stadiums and your jersey is
Yeah,
on sale. I'm not saying
yeah,
it's warranted, but I understand where it's coming from. What I
yeah.
want to know is where is that coming from if you're just some kid with a fresh pair of kicks at school? Where is that coming from if you're just some dude, you know, uh, walking down the street? And don't get me wrong, I like people to feel good about themselves. But I was talking to another speaker. His name's Kendall Ficklin.
Hmm.
He said he's all about proof. Show me your proof.
Hmm.
Which I love because and you hear it, people, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that, I'm trying to, and he's just like, well, where's your proof that that's happening?
Hmm.
But I see that, right? So getting back to this kind of self-esteem movement, and everybody wants to quote unquote feel good
Hmm.
about themselves. I'm more like self-efficacy. Like what can you do?
Right.
Can you do good about yourself? And I know I'm butchering the language, but I'm doing that on purpose. Can you do good about yourself? Can you do
Mhm.
good for others?
Yeah, yeah.
Essentially create value.
Hmm.
And I think that's where you find that humility that you found. Like you went out and served. What was the thing that got you out there in the beginning? So you were hurt, but what was that catalyst that brought you there? To the first Boys and Girls Club, or your first speaking um, engagement, or maybe it was a you were just showing up somewhere.
Yeah, it was like a perfect timing scenario. I was hurt, and I was kind of reevaluating things, thinking, I was getting pressure from the organization, like you need to hurt me, get back. I was like, man, what if this? So the same day when it clicked, like, what if this was over and I
Mm-hmm.
can never play again? I'm like 27, 26 years old. Like, what am I going to do? That same day, I had a friend whose friend was the director for the Boys and Girls Clubs in YMCA, and they're looking for somebody to come and come talk to the kids. And so I said, sure, I'll do it. And that was the first time that I did something like that.
And that was it.
That
And
was it.
did it click there the first time?
Yeah. When I was there the first time, I was around the kids. It's your only day off. So a lot of times they'll come and do it to post it on social media just to say that they did it or whatnot. For whatever reason,
For the
it
photo
was
op,
genuine.
I made the
Yeah, yeah,
appearance.
right,
Yeah,
right. I really loved it. And I realized, like I said already, I didn't mind being in front of people, speaking and sharing my story.
that's great. That's great. So you said something else, and I want to ask you about it. You said knowing your why. So once that person, you get that person or that group to tap into what that is. You said something about testing it. How does one test their why?
Yeah, it's real simple. So what I do every single morning when I wake up, or let's take it back to before I made it to the NFL, I had about maybe 7 different whys that I tried, and I do two things. So I have a photo of whatever that why is. For me, it's my mom, and then I have like maybe 2 or 3 bullet points of some goals, whatever. So I
Mm-hmm.
wake up every single morning. As soon as I turn over, I thank God for waking me up. I turn over and I look at those things, look at the goals, look at the picture, and what I noticed was some other ones that I had, they weren't strong enough because I would go back to sleep or I would hit snooze. But once I had the picture of my mom, is really all I needed to see a picture of my mom when I woke up every single morning, and I never hit snooze again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about her when I was working out, when I was training, or when I was watching film. And I told her I was going to buy her a home. So it's like, okay, you said, you said, you said. That was my inner dialogue. You said you're going to do it. So I no longer needed a coach to motivate
Yeah.
me. I didn't need anybody.
And
That was it.
the brain doesn't like to be a liar.
Right, right, exactly. And
That's
so,
the neurology of that.
right. And
So
so that's how it happened.
okay. So
I tested it.
I'm sorry, you
I tested
tested it. So
myself around the
that's
right.
I love that you said you had like 7 of them and then you just tested them. But that's yeah, you did like a little focus group with yourself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, money didn't work.
I'm gonna ask no because that um It does for some people for some time, but not for everyone all the time. I
Right.
think that's a song lyric, but it's true. It's true. So I'm going to ask you a personal question, a little off tangent. So, how does your wife handle you having a picture of your mom and your mom being the Y?
Well, she's the picture. My wife's the picture now.
Oh,
Um,
okay. All right. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. When I was young to get to the NFL, it was my mom, but
okay,
now it's a picture of my wife and my two kids.
there we go. So how's your mom handle that?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm a grown man, dog.
All
Come
right,
on,
all
man.
right. Hey, man, look, as a trained psychologist, some of those family dynamics get kind of wild. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes the moms don't want to let go of their sons. Not that, not that it's
Right.
healthy or
Yeah.
unhealthy, but it's like, hey, where'd my picture go, baby? It's like,
I've seen it to be much more unhealthy than I don't even know if I know of any healthy cases, but
no, I know,
I'm sure
I
you
know,
do. Yeah.
I know. So, and mom's still living in the house you bought her.
No. So
Oh,
that's so this is the this is the part of the story that I'm working on a workshop right now and working on a book, right? So bought the home, gave her the keys. I got cut the next year. We ended up losing the home.
oh my gosh,
Yes.
wow.
So me and my wife now have our own home. But one of my kind of whys and goals and dreams now, and I've been seeing this for like at least 10 years, man, is to buy a whole cul-de-sac to where me and my wife have our own home, my parents have their own home, and my three other brothers have their own home, all in the same cul-de-sac. And I see it happening. I don't necessarily know exactly how it's going to happen, but it will.
I love that. And that's actually a thing. Just as an aside, my wife's in land development, and when they put in these new communities, they actually are working to create some of these communities with that in mind, because they understand that the buyers a lot of times are have multi generations living within the same property or on the same house or all of that. So it's manifest. I believe it's going to happen.
Yes, sir.
That's nice. And you kept going. So that's rough, man. So you worked all that point. You're the man in college. Your first play. We didn't even talk about your first play in the NFL, did we? The punt return.
No.
The famous. All right, can you tell them, take as long as you want or as fast as you want, but your first play, it was your first play in the NFL, correct? Tell
Yes,
people
it
about your
was.
first play in the NFL.
Yeah, I'll give the quick version. So, day before the game, coach asked me, "Do I want to start a punt return?" I wasn't even supposed to play, so I'm like, hell yeah, put me in." So, I'm back deep, and if you watch football, punt return, you're back there by yourself to kick the ball. Everybody runs at you, including your own teammates. Everybody's watching you, and it's not easy just to catch a punt, just at practice. And so I'm supposed to make all these reason checks, and I don't do it. I just look at the ball because I'm so nervous. Like, I have to catch this ball. I might get cut, which probably would have happened if I'd have dropped it. So as soon as I catch it, there's a humongous dude who had been running 40 yards full speed already, trying to take me out. I barely make him miss. I mean, to this day, I have to watch YouTube to recall what happened, but I made like three other people miss. And then with 50 yards left, I made the punter miss. And then I didn't see anybody else in front of me. It doesn't even go through my mind that I might score. None of that. I'm just like running like a runaway slave. And then with like 20 yards left, I look back.
For those of you who don't know, that's really fast.
Yeah, really fast. 20 yards left, I look back. My teammate's right behind me. He's already like going like this, celebrating. Still hasn't dawned on me. I crossed the end zone. And before it dawns on me that I just scored a 75-yard punt return, the first time I ever touched the ball, I literally thought about some of those things you talked about. I thought about, how my upbringing and the people that doubted, people that hated, and some of the friends that said I wouldn't make it, who had got tickets for the game just so they could be there and witness me playing. And then my teammates caught up to me about 7 seconds later. And then I realized, like, dude, you just scored. Like, this has to be some type of record. And it is. To this day, it's a record.
And so what's the record? Longest punt return, or most yards in a punt return, or
I don't think it's the length. It's scoring the first time you ever touched the football.
oh,
It's
okay,
like,
all right,
yeah.
that makes sense. So that's a long road. You get there, you play, and then bam, right? I don't want to say the dream is over, but that way of making a living is over. Or you're cut. I mean, I guess you could try to go free agent or try to go out for
Right.
other teams. So where were you? I mean, because you're obviously a success, right? You're doing well.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and that was a long time ago. So, where were you when that happened? So you're cut, and then you're just. What did you do with
Yeah.
yourself?
It was the one and only time I ever dealt with depression in my life because, I mean, 15 years it took me to get to that point to just try out.
Mm-hmm.
Then you make it, and then you have great success, ESPN top 10, all of these things. And then the next year you realize that the NFL is not a game, it's a business. And then you get cut for really no reason, super political reason. But your roommate in your apartment is still on the team. And so you see him coming and going from practice every day.
Mm-hmm. Guys
on the team are coming out to hang out. And they're like, hey, bro, what you going to do? And I'm like, man, this is crazy.
Uh-huh.
So I ended up having to really get humbled. I went and played in the arena football league, which I told myself, hell no, I'm not playing nothing but the NFL.
I'm not buying a minivan.
Right, exactly. I ain't buying no minivan. I want to range. But anyway, so I went and played arena, and then I just had to refocus my mindset. I ended up scoring 50 touchdowns in 16 games and broke the
that has to be a record.
Yeah. Broke the record. Man, I just played super. I don't know if I was angry, but just determined, I guess is the better word.
Yeah.
And then I had a shot, and I played very briefly for the Falcons and played a number of places after that.
Okay. All right. And then, so when did you end your football career?
Yeah, in 2011, I just played for a team called the Sacramento Mountain Lions under the late Denny Green out here in Sacramento. It was an amazing experience. Got to play back at Sacramento State. Then after that, I was kind of, starting a family. We just had our baby girl, and I started a business. And I said, it's time because my body's a little bit banged up. I just don't want to go through it anymore. It's time to get into the quote unquote real world.
Right. And how's the real world treating you, sir?
Love it, man. I love it because of things we talked about, making a decision in terms of what I want to do now. And this is maybe the first time in my life to where my purpose, my vision, what I'm actually doing on a daily basis, my best hours are giving to what I was called to do, what I want to do. And my purpose is all perfectly in alignment. And that cliche saying, when you do what you love, you never feel like you work a day in your life. Like, it's true.
Yeah, you're just doing what you do.
Yeah,
it's like putting on socks or something. It's
right.
Like, yeah, it's just part of the deal. All right, so I ask a few questions that I always tend to ask guests on this show. Maybe you've answered them through the course of our talk, but I'll ask them anyway. So and this is two, but I'll ask it in one swoop. What is your biggest win and biggest loss? I don't think you've had your biggest win yet, though, personally.
Man, you know what? I'm so glad you said I received that. I really don't think I've had my biggest win. I think things are really just starting right now for me. But to date, my biggest win, it has to be accomplishing my lifelong dream of not only making it on the San Francisco 49ers, which is 20 minutes away from where I grew up, but having that touchdown. I mean, every single thing I said I wanted to do as a child, I accomplished the very first time I ever got in a game and touched the ball. I would say the biggest loss, I think also would be, losing the home. And the thing that's frustrating about that is I really don't think there was anything I could have done about it. I mean, I came back bigger, faster, stronger, but they drafted a guy in the third round, gave him $700,000 to sign. I had $10,000 coming out of Sac State, so there's no way they're going to give a guy invest that much and send him home.
Right.
So they sent me home, and so we ended up losing the house. For me, that was the biggest loss, but it also is now a great motivator for me. So
yeah. That's one thing that when I work with people, because regret can be. I think you tend to have them because you age and you go through time and you look back and you can't help but look back with that perspective of what you know now. But I always say you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And you can't blame somebody for not knowing what they don't know. Now, after you've been told, then it's a different story. So that's one of those things where I think you know everybody has those bittersweet pills.
Yeah,
And I think that's
definitely.
what they are. I think they are bittersweet pills because now you have this vision of the cul-de-sac. Now you know what paying off the house looks like, and now
Hmm.
there's just kind of like, okay, when this check comes in, I'm doing exactly this for these
Right. Right.
reasons because that's the smart way to do it based on this,
Yeah.
this experience I had. So that to me, that's even though it's a loss because I could only imagine what that house represented
Hmm.
emotionally. But to me, I think that it's lessons learned, bittersweet pill. So last question: what's one thing you wish every human knew?
Hmm.
We go big here on the gold medal mindset.
Yeah. I mean, I had an answer as soon as before you even finished answering. I'm just trying to decide if that's. Yeah, I got to stick to the authentic me and me being a man of faith. I would say the one thing I wish everybody knew was kind of two part. Number one, that God loves them and that God has a purpose for their life, which ties into figuring out what going back
Your
to
why, yeah.
why. Yeah. So I wish everybody knew what their God given purpose was and had enough faith and courage to pursue it and go make it happen. Like think about how awesome the world would be if everybody was doing exactly what they were called to do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and unfortunately, a lot of my work is designed around people being unhappy in what they're doing and trying to find a way to get to that happy.
Right, right.
And it's
Yeah.
sad. I have to sell happy. I'll do it,
Yeah. Right.
but it's not like we open up a box. I help you find it within you, but it is. I'm amazed at how many people are I don't want to say searching, but just kind of like thinking this is it, and they're not necessarily doing what they're called to do, or not
Yeah.
necessarily. And I get life can be tough. I get it. Not everyone's going to be able to make their passion into an income or whatever that might be,
Mhm.
but I really hope people do something that pays for that passion. you know,
Yeah.
like if
Right.
you're at a crappy job, great, but it better be paying for something you really love.
Hmm.
It better
Yeah.
it better be offering you something that is worth it. So,
Yeah.
anyways, hey, on that note, how can people find you, book you, get you in front of them, hear you speak live and in person?
Yeah. I make everything super simple. If you just type in my name, Otis Amey, OtisAmey, everything. My Instagram handle, whatever you call it, is at Otis Amey. Website, Otis Amey. Just type my name and you'll find me.
Man, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking the time to mine for gold on the Gold Medal Mindset podcast. Let's keep the conversation going on Twitter at RealDrJRich or on the web at drjasonrichardson.com. That's drjasonrichardson.com. Take care and have a great day. Gold Medal Mindset is brought to you courtesy of IPD Seminars. Make an impact, live with purpose, and fulfill your destiny. Learn the mindset and best practices to crush any limit. Visit ipdseminars.com for more information. We also like to thank Life Advantages Prep, making school not suck for high school kids already immersed in sport, tech, the arts, or whatever their passion may be. For more information on winning at LAP, please visit lifeadvantagesprep.com.